Oh, hello. How's everybody? Yeah? Having a good time? Learning some few things, hopefully, right, today from the conversations? Okay, excellent. So this is an amazingly interesting forum. I come here every year. Frankly, I do a bunch of these things with BI. I've been doing it for about 15 years, ever since they were founded. And we take a lot of meticulous effort to make sure that we are bringing something and raising the bar just about every time we come here. So you're the judge for today. This is Seraj Bharwani. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Illumin. Illumin is a journey advertising company. Basically, the idea is you connect the dots across all the touch points. But I think if you look at the topic today, you wonder, like, what the hell that has to do with what we do? Well, the fact of the matter is, journeys are not just about chasing consumers all over the place, wherever they are. They are actually about finding the right moments where your brand actually has some meaning and some relevance for the consumer, right? And I think that's what the topic is today. The topic is about finding the category entry points as a way to drive growth for the brand, right? Before I go further in the setup here, let's introduce our panelists here, and you will see why they are the ones who are here and not others. Let's start with you, Diya. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diya Basu. I'm the Director of Digital Content Influencer Marketing at American Dairy. For those that don't know who American Dairy is, we are a commodity, a checkoff organization. We're funded by dairy farmers. So our goal is to essentially promote the sale of dairy products across the board. So we work on behalf of our hardworking dairy farmers, and I've been there for about 5.5 years now.
Perfect. Jonathan, go ahead.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Scarpetta, media lead for PepsiCo Mexico for several years, and my bag is about former strategy lead for some specific media agencies as IPG Media Brands and Group M. So know something about the last topic that you were talking about agency trust a little bit. Nice to be here.
Okay, so let's do a setup. What is this whole thing about category entry points? There were two things that motivated me to bring this topic here with our team here. One is about a few years ago, almost a decade ago, I received a brief from General Mills. This was from Betty Crocker, right? Everybody knows Betty Crocker, right? It's been around for 80 years, by the way. And the brief was one line. It said, Betty Crocker wants to own birthdays. That was it. And I thought there was a mistake there, that there was a few pages to it and that I did not download the right file. So I called the client, and the client said, no, that's it. That is the brief. You guys figure it out, what that actually means, how we do it, what the whole content will be, execution will be, how you will measure the whole thing, what does owning the moment actually means, all of that. Left to us. I assumed it was a competitive bid. I didn't know that they had sent it only to us. But as far as I know, I told my team, hey, we are in a bid here, so we need to put everything and anything into this thing. All right. Therein lies the clarity. General Mills and Betty Crocker knew that that moment is the moment when most of the baking actually happens. And it's a very joyous, a sweet moment. It's something that they need to be able to figure out a way to have the share of it. Okay, so that was one reason why I thought, oh, that's interesting. The second was, over the years, a lot of research has actually happened now. There is evidence across many industries that if you can find that moment, for Betty Crocker, it was the cake mix. Remember, at the end of the day, it's about selling cake mix. That when you find that moment and you are able to own the share of mind, it will ultimately translate into share of market. And that's there. So when you bring the two together, now you need to see how the leaders of marketing in the respective organizations, whether it is American Dairy or Pepsi, how they've been able to figure that out in their own respective categories. Are you with me so far? Okay, the clarity of what's the problem we are here to solve is important. So let's kind of go with that. Diya, I'm going to start with you. Who is the audience for American Dairy these days? And you can spin it any which way you like in terms of challenges, opportunities that you see in front of you.
So for us, our audience is everybody, because dairy just plays a central role in people's lives and diets every day. So we don't target one specific demographic, whether it's millennials or Gen Z. For us, it's everybody, but it's figuring out the strategies of all of the touch points of reaching those different demos and the audience in different ways. So that's essentially what we're looking to continue to do with American Dairy, of figuring out all of the touch points, all the ways that it's our consumers, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a parent, whether you're a student, anybody, but everyone essentially at the end of the day is our consumers.
Understood. General market perception is that dairy is in trouble, that there's all bunch of alternatives that have actually popped up all over the place. Does that pose any type of challenge at all in the way you see the market?
So statistically speaking, cheese sales are on the rise every year. This past year, milk sales are actually on the rise 1%, which is huge in the industry, considering it hasn't been for a while. But for us, our goal at the end of the day, which we've kind of done with our food media brand Savor, is to showcase dairy and all of the lights that it does for all of our consumers across the board. But we don't look at it as being in trouble. Ours is really focusing on the people that are in the middle and the movable middle, and really having them consume more dairy.
That's a deep subject in and of itself, guys. You heard that, right? Movable middle. Everybody good with that? We all know where that comes from, right? It's not the 10% at the extreme edges of the people who are loyal to one thing or the other. They are not worth persuading. In your case, I translate that as to saying, if you are not going to be consuming dairy for whatever reason, there is no point in wasting any money on those people. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so for us, the big thing with our team is there's no sense in wasting advertising dollars or marketing budget on consumers that might not potentially be your consumers.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Excellent. Okay, so I have one more thing before I come to you, Jonathan. SavoryRecipes.com.
Yes, savorrecipes.com.
Sorry.
So yeah, a couple years ago we launched Savor, which is our food media brand. So our big thing was, with dairy, how are we gonna really push consumers to purchase more dairy? So that's when we launched Savor, which has its own website, own social media presence, and it has e-commerce built into it. It's integrated in there so you can shop the recipes. So you see a recipe online that you like, you wanna make it, you can click add to cart, and then you can pick the retailer of your choice based on your location and purchase the ingredients. So whether it's our tagline for Savor, you were talking about moments before, is Savor Meals, Savor Moments, and Savor What Matters.
Okay, so basically your approach, if I get it correctly, is instead of slapping ads out there, and telling people drink more milk or buy more butter, it's essentially, these are all the ways in which you can take advantage of dairy products and make something very exciting, interesting, and so forth as part and parcel of your life, right? Okay, excellent. We're good so far. We're going to come to a very specific example in a second. Before that, we have to go to Jonathan. So, Jonathan, you've been in media for a long time, okay? I'm not making it sound as though you're an old man. You just have a lot of experience. And you also think of categories very differently, and the way you approach them and the way you grow them. Share your perspective with the audience here. The advantage we have here is that we're not just here looking at the US market. You are in a unique market of your own where you can do your own things. And so how are you looking at categories for Pepsi?
And I think it's an interesting perspective. And I think it's an opportunity to reframe some way all this consumer centricity mindset and how to bring this to earth. And from PepsiCo, this is something really, really important for us and within the category, and how to expand and how to win. And this is a specific topic, and it's about personalization, you know, how to personalize and how to be more precise, trying to approach people and consumers. But the thing that you can follow people on their daily basis doesn't mean that you need to. You know, you need to, this open the door to a different approach and different perspective, and it's not just about do the things better, but maybe do things differently, you know? And that's exactly the vision on personalization that we have and that we run, you know?
Understood. So let's go that deeper. The distinction here is while Diya can create recipes which embed the product that you are trying to get people to consume, Jonathan does not have the benefit of that. He is running a mass market impulse buy product. It's not a recipe-driven product, which means that his challenge of personalization is, in fact, how do you create that at a mass level? How does that get done at that level of scale? How are you approaching that?
But I think it's a balance between how massive you need to do your communication and also the benefits that you offer to consumer or to audiences or to people to connect with, you know? Because personalization, of course, is important, but it's important in terms of giving the possibility to people to connect with what you want to say as a brand and the kind of content that you are delivering to them. So this comes from context understanding, what they want to be connected with, and be relevant through content. So these allow us or give us this possibility to start developing a specific capability, and is this empathetic communication capability that it's super important in our teams and the way we structure ourselves to communicate and to deliver this message.
Understood. We're going to come to that. He has an amazingly good example of what Pepsi's actually brought in the marketplace. We'll come to that in a second. But the core message here to take away is he is thinking of personalization in a completely different way. What he's saying is that I want to create personalization by empowering people to self-select into what is meaningful and relevant to the consumer at the individual level. When he talks about that example, you will know what the hell he's actually done. It's truly impressive when I got in a discussion with him. Diya, I'm going to come back here. You did an amazingly great program that received coverage on Forbes a few months ago. And this was about Gen Z. And that moment that you occupied in the category is worth discussing with the audience. Can you describe more about that program and how did you make that to really work it out for you and be successful?
So when I say our consumers are everybody, it is. And one of the demographics within that are young adults, college students. Mm-hmm. So we initiated this campaign, which was essentially called Dorm Room Dishes. And what it was is recipes that students can make in their dorm rooms, in their apartments, with minimal to no appliances, but with dairy ingredients. So all they really need is like a mini fridge and a microwave. Mm-hmm. And we launched this campaign all across through different universities, on the campuses, and it did really well. We had content created that were like, 3-ingredient protein bars or yogurt bark or things with high protein, things that we knew students would want to make, would want to consume based on data, and was easy for them to do. So we had video content made, we had a lot of programmatic advertising done with it. That was a huge focus for us, and geo-targeting that, but then of course on social media, and then supplementing that with influencer marketing and all of that. And it did really, really well, because we were essentially targeting a demographic that a lot of times folks don't necessarily think like, oh, well, they don't want to cook in college, or they're not gonna have the time, but they will make the time and carve that time. And for us, statistically, it showed that it did. We're able to see the intent to sell based on Savor, so we're able to see the traffic that was drawn onto the website, and then how many people clicked on add to cart, and then kind of looked at the numbers from there.
I see. Now, interesting, most of us think that college students have no time, and they just go and grab or order or do Uber Eats or whatever, right? I mean, that's probably how they make a living or something. That's the perception, right? But there is something different here in that when the students first come into the college environment, which is something new, right? We've always thought, right, that when something changes fundamentally in your life, you are outside of your environment where you are used to living, right? That you might consider something new or something different. Is that part of it that's playing into this thing?
I think for us, it was also understanding to not, like, based on that, like, they're not always going to necessarily eat out, but a lot of the recipes that we were promoting were also snacks. So it could be something as simple as popcorn that you can make in the microwave, but adding toppings to it, which includes cheese.
Got it.
Or making like protein bars that you could put, you know, that you can snack on later. So it was really the messaging that we had behind each one of the content pieces
Yep.
and targeting whether you're an athlete, whether you're studying and need a study break. So we really targeted all of our content separately through that demo.
We got it. Got it. You with me so far, right? We're talking about a moment that she capitalized on and just went after it like a missile to really conquer that moment and capture the share, right? Okay. Jonathan, I'm coming back to you. What is a switch snack? Just define it for the audience here.
Well, Switch Snack is a huge movement in the on a specific context or markets. Talking about Mexico, but let me go a little bit, one step prior to this, and it's about bringing this to earth, all this power that we give to people to decide what's the kind of messages and content and media they want to be related with and establish this relationship with brands. We need to understand, apply the proper criteria to choose the right insights and to make this cultural relevant. And this is about snack switching concept. And it's in Mexico, as I said, it's a huge movement around mix snacks, mix flavors, and why not to print your own and personal flavor on what you're eating, you know? So it's important.
You see what I said, right? This is the beginning of a personalization Pepsi style. And give some examples of the switch snacks that you guys introduced.
Because this applies to communication, but this applies to product as well. So in terms of product, we just launched last year, and we continue this communication and this product innovation within the category that is called Sabritas Switch. And it's basically Sabritas or Lay's with the Lay's texture, but with Doritos flavor. And maybe Cheetos with Rancheritos texture and flavor on the same bag. So people want to, or it's able to choose what they want to consume, but of course this has to be aligned with the way we communicate and the channels and the platform that we choose to deliver this kind of message, because we need to be consistent within the product and the possibilities, but also from the media perspective.
So, okay, that's step one. That's the product itself, right? That's genius. Frankly, because all of those other things, the flaming hot and all that stuff, you guys really already have it there. The brand equity is so amazing that they could play games with that, right? And so whoever came up with a brilliant idea. So now that you have this switch concept, right, which people can personalize in their own way, which is beautiful, the next part, which is how do you align that by bringing this and keeping it top of mind? How do you introduce an innovation like this into the media space so people have a reason to want to think, wow, yes, this is it? How do you do that?
Well, we learn from people too, and where they want to receive or to interact with this kind of communication and messages. So we learn, and we need to be congruent and consistent in terms of if this is a product innovation, we need to use the right platforms and take advantage of the role of the platform to deliver this kind of message. So we use, let's say, innovative platforms to deliver this content, as for example TikTok, and we use a bunch of content for user-generated, and some kind of raw content that is the kind of content that people want to, to find on these kind of platforms and to interact with. and give them the possibility, to interact, but to create content, but to, to be consistent what we are tasting in each one of our bags,
Yes, yes. I mean, the big thing is not that, okay, you came up with connecting with TikTok. Okay, everybody's talking about TikTok. That's a movement, and claiming that you're going to TikTok isn't anything like huge. This is not like a brain science here. But I think what I found interesting was there's a lot of flavor innovation going on TikTok in those 2 seconds and 3 seconds and 4 seconds and what have you, where people are establishing their own identity based on the taste. Their personalities are being disclosed when they combine sweet and spicy. I mean, this is just crazy stuff that's happening in Mexico market in particular, right? And some of it is bleeding over into this market too, right?
Yeah, and basically this is the way to, land all the consumer centricity mindset in terms of from product and giving the possibilities to choose what you want to be related with, until, communication and the platforms and the channels to deliver this kind of message. So I think it's important because it's like the full funnel and the consumer journey from product to communication and the possibilities to choose what you want to be related with, and give back voice to people and their tastes.
You got it. Generally, there is a lot of risk you take. As the leader of the media organization at Pepsi Snacks, you make the case for UGC when in general the standard is very polished advertising, to really go out there and blast switch and the whole concept because you have and you can do it and you have the money. Why didn't you? Why did you pick UGC and what was the backlash internally?
Because
did everybody just fall in love with it when you said UGC?
Yeah. And we learned from previous initiatives, and we saw that this was the path to follow, and to deliver this kind of innovations and big efforts from the company in terms of product, and this is something that is not minor because last year we launched the entire project, the Switch project, and was like a temporary in and out. Bet.
A POC, proof of concept.
Yep. But this year we're launching, we are keeping this within our portfolio offer, and this is a category, entrance point to expand our business because it's different to gain share of market of the same pie, but it's another thing, the vision to expand the category and to win to another and a new, entry points.
Understood.
So that's important.
It's more risky. Everybody here knows that. Creating new categories and trying to enter that thing is extremely risky because how many times do these things actually win and succeed and whatever? Everybody knows. We don't really need to make a big deal out of it. Frankly, guys, this was the programming I had in mind as the core concept. Hopefully the message is very clear as to how you go about doing this thing. I'll open it up for question and then wrap it up with what I started with on the Betty Crocker to show you what we did over there as well. All right, questions? Go ahead, Jonathan. I think he's asking you.
Perfect. And it's kind of a mix in terms of the communication strategy. And we take care very seriously all the sequencing as we are serving the message. So of course we use plenty of platforms regarding the stage of the funnel that we want to move, and this is and regarding the brand actual gap that we have, in terms of brand variables or equity, because that is super important for us. It's not just winning on the short term in terms of return and conversion on the lower funnel, but it's about to take care of mid and long term as well and brand building, because that's the future proof of our brands. So basically it's a balance between all the awareness and ad recall that we already have, but something specific that we need to take advantage of, and it's the visibility that we can deliver to these kind of innovations in terms of product on the mid and lower funnel. So yeah, basically it's that balance, and we take care of that on the comms strategy planning.
You mind if I take your question one step further? Okay, so to build on that, Jonathan, speak to the whole emergence of retail media. Does this, there is only one reason I bring this up, is yeah, we're not going to talk about this forever, but the reason I bring this up is because, number one, that's what he had in mind in terms of the touch points and what's the connectivity and how do you really measure this. The fact that retailers are coming to you now and offering this up to you with a promise, what part of this do you believe in and how might that actually help you?
Super important for us because from the communication perspective, I think we have a proper focus, and it's all the mental availability, but we need to find how to meet with, let's say, phygital availability, not just physical. And we need, this journey and the platforms to connect from the upper funnel, but not just to lower funnel in terms of communication and purchase intent, but also, sell out and rotation, and penetration and frequency and all the stuff. So that's why retail media is super important for us, because it's where mental availability and this phygital availability meets, and we can deliver specific business outcomes and results, of course, with proof of concept and a lot of different things that we are trying right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Related questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So that's what we've really been able to cultivate on through Savor, because with that, what we do with Savor is we keep it separate from American Dairy. So Savor is kind of its own presence, its own food media brand, and through that, we've really created content like Jonathan was speaking to, so with TikTok, more on like a UGC side, but with Instagram and Pinterest or Snapchat, so just content curated for each platform, where it's, our goal with that is like, you see this video, you wanna make that recipe. So whether, we have very editorial looking content where like the cheese pulls are sexy and the milk pours are sexy, or like the music that's used with the video content that's created just to keep it really engaging. So we've really been able to have a lot of fun with our content on Savor, and then also through a lot of like the influencer marketing that we're doing and all of that. So that's really allowed us to branch out in that. With American Dairy, we're really tapping now into the NIL space. So we're doing a lot with sports marketing. We're doing a lot with esports. So with esports, our tagline is actually powered by chocolate milk. So you need to like drink chocolate milk to play. Whereas sports, it's the opposite, where it's refuel with chocolate milk. So you're refueling with chocolate milk after. So for esports, we've created like a gamification unit that it's a lot of fun for folks to play when the ads are being served. So we're really tapping into like fun, innovative, non-boring, read a 300-word, 3,000-word blog to really keep the content, engaging that way.
Yeah? Does that address it? Excellent. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Yes, please go.
So I can say, so with us, we have a lot of campaigns that run through the year that are for all demos. So we have like a holiday campaign that really focuses on like from grandparents to parents to children to grandkids. So we'll have a lot of content and a lot of campaigns through American Dairy running all year round, but also through Savor. So we, tend to focus a little more, I would say, on millennials and Gen Z and slowly Gen Alpha, and especially with who has like the purchase intent and how that ties into sales moving forward. But for us, we haven't alienated the Gen X and the older audiences, and we do that more with like sweepstakes work really well. So we do like a holiday sweepstakes campaign, and that does really, really well in the older market. So we look for those touch points through the year of really seeing, when during the year, what activations are really gonna work with them.
Let me wrap this up here. Thank you. It's very nice. Thank you for the insights that you actually shared. It's beautiful. Let me close this out from where we started. Betty Crocker. Time travel back about 10 years, okay? So what happened from that brief? The client accepted a production schedule to create 22 baking videos of beautiful birthday cakes of all varieties, from butterfly cakes to princess cakes to alligator cakes to you name it, right? Each of these were videos that were 3 to 5 minutes long. Everybody was worried. Is anybody really going to watch these videos? They're so long. Nobody really takes more than 5 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. Long story short, these things were syndicated out to about 50 different video distribution partners. Over the 3 years that followed, 120 million people actually watched those videos. So how do you measure the success of a program like this when Betty Crocker says, we want to own birthday and baking? Well, here is how they proved it. You go in there and do searches on Google, on YouTube, or wherever. And what you found is if you did birthday and baking or anything related to that, the top 5 returns, organic, all about these cakes. And that was massive success for these guys in terms of ultimately getting people to buy cake mixes. That's it for us today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.